All right. What's up, everybody? We're going to go ahead and try it again. We're going to try to keep this to the point as much as humanly possible and not blabber on as much as I normally do. But as always, can't make any promises. I get passionate. It is what it is. So, first quick little update. Double Edge apps are live, right? They are live, updated, current, both in Android and iOS. All right, so it's official. They're live. Now, you need to use the email address you used when you signed up at the gym. If you don't know what that is, just ask a coach and we can set it up, because there's been a handful of folks creating a secondary account, which we can clean up. But if everybody creates 2 accounts, it's just a lot of administrative work that we can avoid if you just use the email and password you used when you signed up. And again, if you don't know what that email is, and you can do a password reset, we can send you a password reset if you forgot it, so forth. But yeah, using that email address that you originally used when you signed up at the gym is the one you're going to want to use for the app. Okay, so nobody, if you're already a member, you shouldn't be creating a new account. So if you can't remember, just let us know. We can look it up real quick, let you know what that is, and get you set up. So far, been testing it out, and it's a lot better than it was 6 years ago. The functionality is way better than it was 6 years ago. It does not automatically check you into class. Okay, so the proximity location deal does not automatically check you into class. And we'll go over this real quick and explain how it's working, right? So you go into the app. You're going to do 3:30 this afternoon. Boom, sign up for it. As of right now, because it's only 11:23, when I get to the gym, if location services are on, the app should prompt you to check in right there on your phone. Like, it should be a little notification pops up. Would you like to check into your class? Boom, you hit yes. Now, let's say I'm going to do 12 o'clock today. It's 11:24 a.m. If I were to sign up for that class right now, because it's within 2 hours of the start of class, the sign up will be received as a check-in. So you would already be checked into the class in that situation. So if it's within 2 hours of the start of the class, it will be you'll already be checked in. So folks that are booking out, the peak times in advance. For instance, 5 a.m. is booked out till the end of 2026 in advance. They will have to sign into class every single day. All right, so they have to sign in, but they're already signed up. So if you're already signed up for the class, then you just need to sign in when you get here. It's a huge, huge help to coaches to have you already signed into class. Okay, it makes head counts a lot quicker. It makes getting the class started a lot smoother, especially if the classes are bigger. It is a huge, huge help. Now, let's revisit the late cancel and no-show fees. Some thoughts that are progressing around this. So, the goal of these fees is not to be a revenue stream. It's not to be anything other than controlling chaos and setting expectations so some class times in the future don't get chaotic. Okay, the goal is to maintain structure and a good environment and to limit the unknowns. Okay, one of the big unknowns is setting up and planning. This is especially a big deal on Tuesdays and Thursdays because we're trying to run 2 workouts at the same time. When we know how many people are going to be in class, it helps the coach plan. So signing up ahead of time, planning those classes, it does help, especially the bigger classes. When a coach just randomly has 28 people, 25 people show up to a class that's not normally that big, and then it's, scrambling to provide a good experience for everybody. The more we can plan, the better the experience is going to be. Okay, and structure. I don't want classes jumping over 25 too often unless the coach okays it. So the gym is set up for 25 people. We have 25 squat racks. We have 25, stations, if you will. 25 is a good number to kind of keep as our benchmark class cap. Now we can go over that. We successfully do it damn near every single day in the morning, but it does take planning and structure to be able to pull that off in a meaningful way to where, we're still having a good experience. So it's kind of the coach's choice, but in general, looking at the last month and where classes are settling, there's only a couple classes that are kind of getting there, and it's not crazy. Total capacity for the last month, we've been at about 65% on average. Some of that percentage is skewed by Thursday and Friday, which typically classes do get lighter towards the end of the week. But on Mondays and Tuesdays, our traditional busiest days, class overall gym total capacity has been under 70%. So it hasn't been like crazy numbers. It's been good. It's settling in nicely. Now, I've been watching class flows and coaching from mornings till evenings. I've been back here in the evenings, either doing the workout or just hanging out, just trying to wrap my head around the flow of classes. What is the experience looking like? Setting up equipment, moving equipment, trying different things. And just really trying to make it as awesome as we possibly can. And so that's the purpose. So continuing to use the app, sign up for classes, and then let's revisit a couple things when it comes to the late cancel, no-show fees. Like I said, this isn't meant to be a revenue stream or something to cause mass stress and anxiety, right? Outside of a class, if another class turns into a 5 a.m. kind of deal where it's just booked all the time, that's a different situation than the rest of the classes on our schedule. Most days, okay? Most days, all the classes on the schedule but 5 a.m. you can sign up for on your way to the gym. Okay, and be like, oh, I'm doing 11, I'm getting ready to leave, sign up for the class, you're on the way to the gym, coach sees the roster 15 minutes before, has a general idea of how many people are coming that day. It helps the coach a lot. We don't need 24 hours notice to plan the classes. We're not that inexperienced, okay? But having 10, 15 minutes, and chances are because we've coached the big class in the morning, the gym's pretty set up to handle that kind of flow if it happens in the afternoon. But, 10, 15 minutes before class starts, if coach knows how many people who's coming, it does help, all right? It does help. Like I said, from 6 a.m. on through the rest of the day, probably 90% of the time, you can sign up for the class when you know you're going to the class. And I bring this up because I've had some people in the midday be like, well, I have these meetings that come up and I signed up for the 11, but I had a meeting or a customer call or something in your work life or kids or whatever. And it made it to where I couldn't get into that class, but I wanted to go after work now, but I late canceled that class. So then I'm hit $15 for that late cancel. And then, signing up for a class in the afternoon. Now I can tell you, whether you want to believe this or not, from the bottom of my heart, a big part of our business model is to be able to provide flexibility for those of you who work. Those of you who have full-time jobs, those of you that have schedule chaos and disruptions, that there's flexibility in our group class schedule to accommodate you in that, right? That is part of our model, and we want to continue doing that. So one thing I'm playing around with the software is this is what I'm looking at, okay? If the class hit a class capacity that day, that's when late cancels and no-show fees are going to be applied to that class. Okay, that's when they're going to be applied. That's what I'm looking at doing from a software and logistics standpoint. It seems that I can go through, see the classes, okay, only 5 a.m. was at overcapacity. They're getting penalized for no-shows and late cancels. If none of the other classes were over capacity, then I don't want to be busting people up with nickel and dime fees when, in fact, nobody was prevented from joining that class for their workout. And I bring that up because if a class is at capacity, and it's one of my big pet peeves, and there are people that want to get into that class to get their workout in and couldn't join the class because you didn't show up, then I'm upset because I want those folks to be able to get in. And that's where my, line in the sand is being drawn. I don't want no-shows and late cancels being something that inhibits somebody else from being able to join that class to be able to get their workout in. You know, if I have, for instance, 38 people pre-registered for 5 a.m. and 10 of those people don't show up, I could have potentially added some people who wanted to work out. And that's where I need the control to make sure that people who want to work out during some of these busy classes get the opportunity to work out if their schedule in life require that time that day. I do have people a handful of times, they're not regulars at 5 a.m., but they have a work thing, a travel thing, a kid thing, and they're like, hey man, can I join the 5 a.m. class tomorrow? I hate saying no, and then the next morning, 5 people no show or late cancel when I could have told that person yes. And that's the part where I get upset. And that's where the fees will apply. So designated peak classes, there is the potential. Now, if a class hit capacity and somebody couldn't join because you late canceled or no showed, that's when you're going to get charged. You know, if the class only had 18 people and the class capacity was 25 and you late canceled, the way I'm looking at this software, I'll be able to quickly read, make the adjustment, and not charge folks in that class. Okay, what I don't want to have to do is go class by class every single day and monitor that. That's too much BS for me. My goal is to be a coach and run the business, not sit here micromanaging late cancels and no-shows for nickel and dime fees. That is not something I want on you guys. That's not something I want to do personally. It's not how I want to make money. I want to make money by changing people's lives and giving people great workouts and a positive community atmosphere and experience. That's how I want to make money. So the goal is not to do these fees unless it is preventing somebody else from working out. I hope that's clear. Starting next month is when I'm going to be rolling through this process. Right now, people will be getting emailed $0 charges. So you'll be getting a $0 email if you no-showed or late canceled. That's been blanket across the board. I've just been running the report, hitting charge. It's $0 and just seeing how it works. You know, people be getting emails saying, hey, I got charged for a no-show fee, $0. How come? I was in class that day. That's because you didn't sign into class. Okay, if you didn't sign in the class, it's going to register you as a no-show. Now, going forward, if the class wasn't at capacity, I could give a rip. But you're also not going to get your committed club credits. All right? So signing into class is tracking your attendance for you to be able to get into that committed club status. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm talking to coaches, you know, about just educating people like, hey, can you sign into class? I'll check you in today. And just finding a balance there, a reasonable balance. I don't want coaches spending the first 10 minutes of class trying to figure out who's there and who's not there, right? You guys pay a premium membership for coaching and our knowledge around fitness and running a great group class experience. Checking people into class and making sure attendance and all this stuff is, you know, perfect is not the place that I think our skill set as coaches should be investing a lot of time in, when it is extremely simple to check into class, sign into class, sign up for class. You got iPads all over the gym. You can do it now in the app. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple to do. It's much appreciated. Okay, it's much appreciated. And I've had some people like, I'm not signing up for class, all kind of hot and bothered about it. I'm just like, it's that big of a deal, huh? It's that big of a deal to take a whopping 5 seconds, if that, to pull this off. You know, I don't even know what to say to that. I don't want to be a a-hole about it. This is the tool to provide structure. I do not want classes getting too crazy. I need to make sure that we have a system long-term in place that facilitates a good quality group class experience and controls chaos and classes getting overcrowded. You know, and who knows? I don't know if it's ever going to be an issue in other classes, but because it's an issue for sure every single day in one class, the potential is there for other peak classes to also be an issue. So I just want to make sure that we are doing our part as managing the gym, overseeing the gym, providing the best opportunity to maintain structure and consistency as possible. And this is how we're going to do it. If you got questions on this, by all means, talk to me directly and I can explain it to you. If you have questions on the app, happy to show you, happy to help get you set up, whatever we need there. All right. So I don't want this to be a stressful thing. I don't want it to cause stress in your day. You know, if, like I said, if you go to the 11 o'clock class and you signed up for it and 40 minutes before something came up, but you still want to get an afternoon workout in that day, most of the time, unless that class went to 25 people, it's a non-issue. You know, I'm not going to charge for classes that don't hit capacity. You know, your late cancel or no show didn't prevent somebody else from working out. And that is where I want to make sure we have the accountability. All right. On the other side of that, signing into class is how you get your committed club. And it helps coaches out when it comes to being able to spend more time coaching than doing 10 minutes at the beginning of class administrative stuff. All right. So let's work together on this. And again, I don't think it's going to be a big deal unless the class is always at capacity. So for instance, at this juncture of time, the only class that's only at an every single day capacity right now is the 5 a.m. class. A couple times the other peak classes, 11 a.m. has gotten to capacity a couple times in the last month, 6 a.m. a couple times, in the 4:30, 5:30 afternoon classes. I think there was 1 or 2 times that those hit a capacity. So with that knowledge in mind, I think that we can pull this off. All right. Next little app update, SugarWOD. Let's talk about SugarWOD real quick. SugarWOD is where all our workouts are posted. It's where we track our workouts. Now, I did a little cleanup yesterday. I'm going to be emailing out a new gym code for SugarWOD. Had a bunch of people in there that are not members for whatever reason. I don't know. But we pay per chunk of people using that app, which is fine if we're actually using the app, right? It's a pretty expensive software for us. And if it's not being used, it's a waste of money. So I'm setting it up that if you don't use it for a month, it's going to remove you. Okay. And this is what I mean by using it. You do not need to post on the leaderboard. You can go into your profile and change your settings to private. Totally fine. I personally think everybody should be tracking their workouts, their lifts. There's a lot of value in tracking your progress. You know, there's test workouts we do, record your past times. All of your lifts are in there. We do a lot of our strength work, the majority of it on percentage work. So when you have a bench, deadlift, squat, clean, back squat, front squat, any of the main lifts, you can hit the prepare button. It'll pull your history and give you your percentages on what you should shoot for. And knowing your past lifting history, you can help guide you in progressively overloading your lifts and getting stronger. There's a lot of value to it if you use it. It doesn't mean you have to be on the leaderboard. Okay? It does not mean you have to be on the leaderboard. You can just change your settings to private. The leaderboard is meh. Like, I post on there so people know that I'm doing the workouts, and it is what it is. You know, some days I'm scaled, some days I'm build, some days I do warrior, whatever. I don't put much thought into it. I like to, make sure that the workouts and what we're putting in there are reasonable and manageable for folks. And then I don't put a whole lot of thought into it. I'm not micromanaging people's scores. This person cheat, that person cheat. Coaches know like who they are, and it's like whatever. You're cheating yourself. Some people brought up you should be calling these people out, shaming them publicly. I'm personally not in that camp. Like if you cutting reps intentionally is how you make yourself happy, then you do you. It's not integrity. And it's also not something I'm willing to waste energy on. I could give a rip. And I think all the coaches, we all feel pretty consistent across that. We'll ask, hey man, did you get all the reps? Did you get all the rounds or whatever? And if you're one of those people that get done with workout and have to go brag to 20 people after the class about how awesome you are, but we know you cheated, we're going to call you out on that. So just, it's not something that we need to be wasting our energy on. It can be a very valuable tool for you tracking your progress. And again, you can make it private and still get great utility out of it by tracking your progress. So if you're not tracking, you can look at the workouts every day right on the website. But if you're not using it to track, it's a waste of money. And if you don't track something at least once a month, the app's going to remove you and you have to, resubscribe to it. But it got out of hand. There are past members, there are people on drop-ins. Like, I don't know. There's over 80 people I removed that I don't even know. So I need to do a little better job of keeping the congestion in there on an administrative side cleaned up. And so yeah, if you haven't used it in a month, you might get booted. And opening it and looking at the workouts doesn't count as usage. You have to actually track something. That's usage. So that's how it'll keep you in there. And again, a little reminder. You can make your account, you can make it private. So your scores and your lists and all that stuff, you're not on the public leaderboard if that's not where you want to be. Okay, if you want to keep your stuff private, no shame, all for it. But I am very supportive of people tracking their progress because it's the only way to make progress is to know what you've done, all right, and be able to build on it, all right, when you do test workouts, etc. So that's SugarWOD. We'll be coming out with a new code. I'm not going to say it on this podcast. I'm not going to put it in the email because this goes to a bunch of people, but there will be a new SugarWOD code generated here shortly as we clean that up. Next, HYROX Las Vegas. All right, it is in February. Hold up. I'm trying to find the exact dates. I think I'd have this memorized. I looked at it yesterday. I just got the email. February 20th through the 22nd. Okay. Big event. The HYROX, the actual HYROX events are pretty spectacular. It's a big production. I've never personally participated in one. I've only seen them online and whatnot, and I've had a few members give me thoughts and feedbacks on. They look pretty cool. So February 20th through the 22nd. I do have an early access code. These things sell out like that, right? It's like trying to get a campsite in Yosemite. It's super hard, but we're a HYROX affiliate. They do send me early access codes to be able to sign up before general public, right? And I have it right here. And it opens up on November 18th. So tomorrow at 10 a.m., it opens up for early registration for HYROX affiliates. I have the link and I have the access code, okay? So I can't put the link or the access code out in a mass email. It says it. They told me that. They've had problems with it getting shared on a mass scale to where the members of affiliates aren't getting the benefit of being a member of a HYROX affiliate. Totally get it. It totally makes sense to me. That needs to be protected a little bit. So this will be distributed to our members only. All right. I'm actually going to send it out today. So whenever you listen to this, today's the 17th. I'm going to send it just to members only, and you'll have it. So tomorrow morning, you'll get 2 days before the general public can sign up for it. I already know there's at least 5 members that said they're going to do it. I am going to make the decision on probably not if I'm doing it. I'm pretty sure I'm doing it, but if I'm doing the team or individual for this event. Now, I want to participate in one. We are a HYROX affiliate. I think it looks like a really cool thing, and I want to, go do one. See what it's all about. So I will be most likely signed up. I just don't know how I'm going to sign up, whether it be a team thing. So you can do same-sex doubles, mixed sex doubles. Then they have pro, open, individual divisions. Like, there's a bunch of options. Okay. So they can sign up for. And it's 3 days, but your event isn't 3 days. You'd either be on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, depending on which division you sign up for. I'm looking at their website. So say, hypothetically, I don't have it in front of me, but if I sign up for men's open division, I think I would compete on like Saturday morning. And it's like an hour to 90 minutes is like your event. All right. So you're only doing one event, one heat in the 3 days. You don't have to be there for 3 days. So, and I'm still trying to see, it looks like if you sign up for it and they say at my event Saturday, I can register Saturday. I don't need to go Friday and stay an extra hotel night, if you will, to be there the whole time. So I'm trying to understand a little bit more of the event logistics and how people can plan, because planning, 3-day trip is a lot different than an overnight trip. So I'm trying to learn that too. But I've had some members in the past do some of these, and they said they're awesome. Great time, fun, good test of fitness. And so also on the HYROX topic, I'm going to be working with my brother, and we're going to be testing out some different styles of HYROX workouts, and then potentially some specific HYROX prep and programming, 8 weeks out leading up to the event. I'm still very much in the camp that our CrossFit programming is the best base of fitness to prepare for HYROX, but there's no question more specificity needs to be done in preparation for this event. 3 main things come to mind when it comes to this. Looking at the event's workouts, sled pushes and sled drags, getting some exposure and training in those 2 elements ahead of time, and then increasing volume of running. You need to be able to run 8 kilometers, which is just over 4 miles. No. It is nearly 5 miles. Okay. So the way the events run is you do a 1K run, which is 0.62 miles, and then you do a strength event, whether it be a sled push, burpees, lunges, farmer carries, wall balls. There's 8 different stations. But between each station, you do a 1 kilometer run. So the bulk of the event is running. And you need to get some volume, zone 2 type endurance training running as part of your training, which is not something that's going to be heavily programmed in the class. One thing I'm thinking of is putting together some more specific type trainings that people can follow, potentially in SugarWOD. So I'm thinking through that. How to bring value to this to you guys, help you train for this event specifically, and have a 6 to 8 week specific training that leads up to an event. Okay. in general, if we're doing group class year round, and then we do some specificity leading up to an event, we should be in pretty good shape going into it. Okay. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. And getting exposure to sled drags and sled pushes, it's a logistical component in the gym that running that type of stuff during a large group class, I'm trying to figure it out. So just bear with me. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we're going to try some sled drags and implement that into a larger class and see how we do. Another component of this is I generally have no clue how many people are going to be doing a HYROX class in any given class. It's always been something we can accommodate, kind of not knowing. But adding this specific elements, such as sled drags, require a little bit more planning, because if I have 3 sled drag stations set up, but 15 people want to do HYROX, it's a problem. So I'm thinking through the logistics and planning and how can we know how many people are HYROX. Do I make it a separate class on the schedule that you have to sign up for and book? I'm working through this in my brain. Okay, I'm working through it. And we're going to test some things out over the coming weeks and see what we can do here in a logical way. All right. So that's HYROX. Again, a little recap. HYROX Las Vegas is in February, towards the end. There's a handful of members I know are doing it, might be more interested, and we're going to be applying some specificity, word salad, into preparation for these events. Because they look fun. They look like a good time. Okay. Overall, gym organization, gym flow, I'm starting to like it. Like I said, I've been watching classes, so I'm not going to be changing a whole bunch right now. We're going to see how things kind of pan out. I have one more piece of equipment to try to fit into the gym, and we're working on it. So there's a couple areas I still have left to clean up. I'm planning on moving all the sandbags to a different part of the gym and cleaning up the dumbbell kettlebell racks a little bit and that are in the back, and creating a little more organization there and so forth. So still trying to optimize, still trying to make things better. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with where things are at right now as far as overall gym flow and organization. I want to leave you guys with this last little thing, which is just a reminder that there is nothing more important in training and health than consistency. Right? Those who work out consistently are consistently the healthier and fitter people in the gym. Okay, so I bring this up because there's ebbs and flows in the week, and I would like to see less of that and more consistency across the board. You know, when there's classes that are, busy and then void, busy and then void, working out 3 to 5 days per week should be your personal standard you set for yourself. Consistency in exercise is the single most important aspect of your long-term health. Consistency in how you eat, consistency in how you sleep, consistency. And another component of this is how hard your efforts are, how high of intensity or how much volume you're doing. If it's too much for you and it's disrupting consistency, then we need to have a conversation on balancing that out. And it doesn't mean we shouldn't train hard. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't have higher volume days. But if we're going, too hard, too much volume, and it's disrupting your ability to be consistent with your training, then we're being counterproductive in that. Intensity and volume drive results, but they only drive results if we can also be consistent and we can recover. Okay, so going hard and heavy in a lot of reps 1 day a week, 2 days a week isn't going to be the ticket to long-term success at this. Okay, it's just not. And I just want to throw out that little reminder. We're going into the holiday season. We're already in it. Thanksgiving around the corner. Then we go into Get Fit season, where everybody's super consistent for about 6 weeks. And then it peters off again. And as we're going through this annual cycle of this, I do want to throw out this reminder that consistency in training is the single most important component. That simple, right? If you guys got questions about that, talk to your coach, talk to me. It's a conversation I'm very happy to have and explain, training methodology and approaches, how to approach your workouts, group class, and so forth. Like my high volume days are typically less intense days. My high intensity days are typically low volume days. That is how we program too. And it's so that I can come and train again, come and train again, come and train again. Last week I worked out 7 days in a row. The Chad workout beat me up a little bit, beat me up pretty good, but I was able to still lower intensity, lower volume, still move, each day last week. And that is a recipe for success, right? So just want to throw that out there. Again, I'm here to help. You guys got questions and want to chat about that, I'm happy to do that. If you have questions on any of the topics we covered today, please, happy to discuss it, happy to go over it, all right? You guys, I think things have been going great. I think we've gotten through a lot of the bumps of coming together as one community, and I'm it's fun. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm just looking to continue to make the gym as best as we possibly can to give you guys the best experience possible. I love you guys. Let's have a great week, a great month, and hope I didn't bore you too long. Peace.